Right, first massive thank you to everybody who actually watched my video. I can't really believe it, really. And also, thanks to people that commented and gave me some suggestions for help in that. Brilliant, absolutely love it. Right, where should we start? Well, first of all, when I look back over the first video, I just said to myself, Pete, you've answered most of your questions. If you thought about it a bit more, it was blatantly obvious. But I just rushed into things and all like that. So, right, I made a few notes. So let's start there. Right, compost. Should have had better compost. And I've got more on that at the end once I've done this bit and I pick a camera up and I'll show you that. Shallower pots for seeds, and I don't know what I was thinking. I planted them in this, which is a 4-litre pot, I believe, something like that. 3-litre pot. Well, if you've potted something in something that's that deep and then stupidly try and then pot up the seedlings into something that big, well, it ain't going to work, is it? It's just going to make life difficult. So these and these trays, next time, forget it. I'm not even going to go there with anything this size, right? So next time, I'm going to pot up in a shallower pot and then pot the seedlings straight into 9-centimeter pots. So that's what we're going to do next time. All right. So that's that out of the way. And also, there again, obvious really. Don't keep me compost in an open container here in the utility where we got a bit of heat from the radiator. It just dries out. So much better keep my compost in a sealed container in the dark, somewhere cool, like a shed or a garage. All right. And also planting the seedlings up for the first time. Now, this was a tip from Brian's polytunnel. No, Brian's garden and polytunnel. So I appreciate that, Brian, for you taking the time to comment. I can afford to plant them a bit deeper. Because if you remember last time, when I planted these up, this one was just falling over the place, and you can see it already is. But the other thing that most of them, once they're watered and settled down a bit, let's get this out of the way. I've cut them into single strips now to make life a bit easier. Stood up quite well. Yeah, I was quite pleased with those. And the first ones, well, not the first ones, but the ones that I planted up that I said stayed up quite well on their own, they're still up and don't need any support. So I think from now on, planting up from the seedlings, I'm going to go for when the majority of them are about this height. Rather than say a certain time from planting or the seeds, I'm going to go for a certain height. Now, here, I've done a little sheet here with measurements so you can see. Those now are roughly 6 inches. Those are a little bit taller, about 7 inches. But the ones that caused me trouble and fell over when I potted them up into these are a lot taller. just making sure my mics work. I bought a mic just to help with the presentation. So I hope you appreciate all my efforts. See, they're 9-inch, and I think leaving them go that long with also not having good enough compost, so they're a bit leggy and weak, has contributed to what I've got here. All right, so that's the last bit I got in the notes, I think. Yep, so thanks, Brian. Plant a bit deeper. And you also said not to worry about the bend. And also, good point he made was when you're looking to select your seeds to pot on, because obviously I didn't pot all of them, big onions are made from lots of leaves. More leaves, more skins. So let's get this out of the way. Like everything else, I'm new to this. I'm new to the filming. I'm new to the editing. But hey, it's all good fun, isn't it? So that one there is 3 leaves. That one's 2 leaves. That's 3. That one's only 2. But to be honest, the favourite one at the moment, and the front runner, is this one here. I'll try and get a bit closer. That's got 4 leaves going on now. It's quite thick in the bottom. And yeah, so far that's my favourite. Right, so what I'm going to do here now is show you how I support them. Now, this is the last time you'll see these stupid pots. I don't know what I was thinking. But anyhow, with these pots, I'm going to be supporting them with green wire. All right, so green wire at this stage. And all I do is get my green wire, measure up, straighten it out a bit, measure up to the tip of me, or roughly where I want it to be supported to, and then go a couple of inches higher, then snip it off. This is, I think this is 2.5 mil wire. Snip it off, drop it on the floor, drop everything else on the floor. Well, like I say, these are 7 weeks now. So these onions, 7 weeks old. Beauty. Right. Okay. And then what I do, just have a bottle top. This is a bottle I use for watering. Wrap it around the bottle. That just gives you a nice simple loop. Bend the loop 90 degrees. Now, what I found is if you just put the wire in the pot, it twists around really easily because there's no, it's just one piece of wire. So what I do is just nip the end over. So nip the end over like that. I hope you can see this because I'm just doing all this on the phone, so I have no idea what it's looking at. Chuck that in there. Then I look down over and try and get the center of the hole in the center of the onion. So then hopefully when I support the leaves, it'll be straight up and down and help the onion stay straight up and down. Put in the leaves like that and just twist it around. That one's a bit lower, but when it catches up, actually that one might just die off. When it catches up, I'll keep doing that. All right, so I'll do the rest of those out of the camera. You don't need to see that, but that's what I do to support them, just with a bit of green wire. All right, now just for a bit of interest, these were the ones I bought off eBay from Italy. All right, I put a picture up in the last video of those details. So if you want to go back and have a look at that, go back and have a look at that. Now, these onions, these were from the seed that Chris Evans kindly sent me, and they are Joe, I think he's called Orthington. Excuse me if I'm murdering his name. There again. Oh, I'm not very organised here, am I? 7 weeks. So planted the same time, exactly the same mix, same amount of time under the grow lights. They've been on 24/7 since they germinated. If we have a little measure here, so we can have a bit of a comparison, you know, they're touching 12. So it just goes to show, in my mind, how important the seed is. I'm not saying they won't catch up as time goes on. I mean, I'll keep posting these videos, put them in a bit of a separate playlist, so you can come back to them and see. That's the other thing. Be careful when you're doing anything with your onions, because these are hollow, as I've found out in my cost, and they're quite delicate. And if you squeeze them or bend them too much, they'll just bend over like that. So that's my stupidity. But there we go. Talking about leaves, like Brian said, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in there. And I think this one, that one on the end, I think that's my favourite one so far. It's got a good amount of leaves. It looks a nice green colour. Where the bulb is looking nice and thick. So I'm quite hopeful on that one. The next time you see these, I'll be potting them up into 9-centimetre pots. I'm hoping to do that Monday, I think. So when I do that, I'll cover that. We'll be able to have a look at the root system on this, how they've done in these smaller pots, and we'll go on from there. Get those out of the way. Now, going on to the grow lights. I've got T5 grow lights. They're Evergrow Luma 2s, and they're 2-foot 4-tube lights. The cost of running those, if anybody's looking to do this and put them under T5 grow lights, they're costing, well, they're drawing 97 watts. So it's 97 watts hour. So that works out at the maximum price cap of 27 pence a unit. I think that works out at 62 pence a day. So it's costing 62 pence a day to run the lights 24/7. And I'll be doing that for probably 8 to 10 weeks. All right. So that's the information on those. There again, if anybody wants any more information on anything, what I'm doing or whatever, or has got any advice, fantastic. Right, I think that's that for that. I'll switch off now and we'll talk about compost and doing a better job next time. Okay? Right, in my quest for getting better at this, well, I've got hold of some Vitax grower traditional potting compost. It's what Chris Evans uses himself, and he's the most up-to-date person I've found videoing and letting people know how they do it. and he's growing £10 onions. So, you know, in my book, he knows what he's talking about. I should have done this from the beginning, but I didn't. So, but here we go. So now we're on the Vitax traditional grower. Now, I couldn't get this in Cornwall, not from any of the local garden centres at all. So I went online and I found some that could be delivered. It was from BHGS Limited. I got 2 bags and they were £15.90. Now, this is a stinger. The delivery was £23.80. So including the VAT, the total price for these 2 bags of 75 litres of compost was £47.64. I know it's astronomical, but I'm in this to be as good as I can be. So if this is what it takes, this is what I'll get. Now, for a comparison, I've put the 2 here in pots. This is the Vitax. This is unsieved, and it's just looks lovely. Very fine, very friable, just lovely. Oh, that makes you laugh, doesn't it? This is what I was using. This is my local garden centre's just regular multi-purpose compost. And you can see, all right, this hasn't been sieved, but then nor is the other one. And I did sieve this one before I used it. You can see how woody it is. Now, I know it's all natural and will break down, but yeah, I question how good it is for the purposes I'm using it for, which is, you know, hoping to grow some brilliant big onions. And, you know, and that doesn't happen without doing the work, paying the price, putting in the effort. So on that score, what I'm going to do, in order to try and fine tune and get the seeds growing well and the first potting nailed down so I know what I'm doing for next year, is I've just ordered off eBay some, what's he called? Peter somebody. Anyway, I'll put a link up. And I've ordered some of his seed, and I'll be starting again. And I'll show you everything I do all over again, because I haven't shown you how I did the seeding. So I know it's a bit late in the season for growing giant onions officially. You know, a lot of people started mid-November, but in my head, they'll grow the same as other onions, and I can eat them if they don't get big. That's not a problem. But if I can get my technique better, then early next season I can learn from what I've discovered this year, work on my technique for next year, and hopefully do better next year. All right, that's the only thing I've got to say. No, it's not. Just on a side note, something I've just found useful is keep a bin handy when you're doing stuff, because you're always picking little dead leaves off and all the rest of it. If you've got a bin handy, you can just chuck them in, can't you? Right, there we go. Yeah, if you enjoyed it, I don't know why, you should question your choices in life maybe, but hey, I've enjoyed making it, and I'll enjoy looking back on it in years to come and having a good laugh at myself. There again, any advice, good or bad, stick it in the comments, and I'll see you next time. Thanks very much for watching. Cheers and go on.